NBA players no one knew had an ankle monitor. The NBA is one of the cleaner professional sports league in the entire globe when it comes to players staying clean and out of trouble off the court. Throughout the league's history, there have not been too many notable cases involving NBA players in serious legal trouble. However, with that being said, the NBA also has one of the longer seasons in comparison to other leagues, which means they only have a limited time off during the summer to live a little, which oftentimes can lead to trouble. Along with this, an 82-game season is a long time for players to be focused on just playing basketball, and this can lead to them needing to blow off some steam. Lastly, the NBA schedule and the lifestyle of an NBA player is, in a way, set up for players to easily find themselves in troublesome situations if they are not careful. If you give any person in their teens or 20s millions of dollars, a lifestyle that puts them in multiple new and exciting cities every week, the fame and the fans, along with groupies that come with being a professional basketball player, few people around them that will tell them no, and enough resources to get their hands on anything they want, and it is simple to see how some of the players we will be looking at today found themselves in the situation that they did. Today, we will be looking at NBA players that no one knew had an ankle monitor. From the research that was done, I could only find 2 players in the NBA that had an ankle monitor during their playing days in the league, and as a result of this, speaks to either the discipline that the NBA has instilled in their players as a whole, or the quality of lawyers that the teams and players can afford. Kentavious Caldwell Pope. The first and most well-known player for wearing an ankle bracelet during his playing time in the league is Kentavious Caldwell Pope. Caldwell Pope attended the University of Georgia, where he averaged 15.8 points per game, 6.1 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and 1.9 steals. Going into the draft, KCP was projected to be a defensive stopper in the NBA, and even drew some draft day comparisons to Kerry Kittles. Caldwell Pope would go on to be the 8th overall pick of the 2013 NBA draft to the Detroit Pistons. He would last 4 years with the Pistons, averaging 11.7 points per game, 3 rebounds, 1.6 assists, and 1.2 steals. In the offseason of 2017, he would sign a 1-year, $18 million deal with the Los Angeles Lakers, where he still plays today. The incident that would wind up resulting in Caldwell Pope to have to wear an ankle bracelet happened before he was officially a part of the Lakers organization. In March of 2017, while Caldwell Pope was still on the Pistons and having the second best season of his NBA career at the time, Caldwell Pope was becoming one of the better two-way players in the league, as his offensive game was finally beginning to catch up with his defensive game. The night before the incident, Caldwell Pope scored 25 points against the Miami Heat in a close loss. Despite the Pistons losing the game, Caldwell Pope still had a very good game, and it showcased just how far his offensive game had progressed from his rookie year, in which he only averaged 5.9 points per game. Early the next morning, Caldwell Pope was pulled over and eventually arrested under suspicion of drunk driving. The officer said that he was pulled over as a result of him going 45 miles an hour in a 25 mile an hour zone. Dashcam footage shows the officer administering a breathalyzer test to Caldwell Pope before he escorted him into the back of the cop car. It was released that he tested at a .08, which is currently the minimum someone can test in the state of Michigan and be charged for a crime. With Caldwell Pope being a millionaire, on top of an NBA player who likely had connections all over Detroit by this time, it is a little shocking that he did not call a friend, pay for an Uber, or wait a little longer for the effects of the alcohol to wear off. Despite this arrest and pending sentencing on his record, as previously stated, the Los Angeles Lakers saw the two-way and 3-and-D potential that Caldwell Pope showcased with the Pistons, and still took the risk and signed him to a 1-year, $18 million contract. The charge led to Caldwell Pope to be suspended by the NBA for 2 games without pay, after he pleaded guilty to a charge of operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated. No teams were really scared off by the 2-game suspension, and the Pistons had full intention of re-signing Caldwell Pope before he could even make it to free agency. However, with him asking the team for a $25 million a year contract, it was clear that the two were not going to reach a deal, so they renounced their rights to him. However, in defense of the Pistons, they would go on to offer Caldwell Pope a 4-year, $80 million deal for him to stay with the team. This is an offer that he would decline, and would go on to lose millions of dollars as a result of it. The probation due to his sentencing also made it clear that he could not leave the state of Michigan, unless the courts granted him permission. They would grant him permission to visit teams he showed interest in free agency, as well as play for the Lakers. It is rumored that the Lakers signed Caldwell Pope to this big contract in comparison to the player they got in return, so the Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka and Caldwell Pope's agent Rich Paul could be in close contact. It is rumored that this relationship through Caldwell Pope was integral in beginning talks between the Lakers and Rich Paul and LeBron James, to eventually get James onto the team while avoiding being struck down by any tampering rules from the NBA. Caldwell Pope would go on to violate his parole when he failed a random drug test, and would miss more than one of the court-required drug and alcohol screenings. The court sentenced him to a 25-day jail sentence, which his lawyer finessed into him staying at a very comfortable jail that he would pay to stay at in Los Angeles that allowed him to avoid going to a county jail. The Lakers allowed Caldwell Pope to keep playing with the team through a sentence, which allowed him to spend even less time in jail and get out of the work release program. This is where the ankle monitor comes into play. The judge required that Caldwell Pope wear the ankle monitor anytime that he was not in the jail, and it would be very easy for them to keep track of Caldwell Pope while he was out, as many of the Lakers games at the time were televised. He was forced to take a breathalyzer test anytime that he returned to the jail from a game or from a practice. He was not allowed to leave the state of California during the duration of his sentencing, which means that while he could go to the Lakers practices and their home games, anytime that the Lakers would play on the road against a team that was not the Los Angeles Clippers, the Sacramento Kings, or the Golden State Warriors, Caldwell Pope could not leave the state to participate in the games. However, this is a story with a somewhat happy ending. The Lakers still have Kentavious Caldwell Pope on the roster today, and they were able to add Rich Paul clients LeBron James and Anthony Davis to the roster. They are currently the first seed in the Western Conference with an NBA championship in their sights. With Avery Bradley declining to join the Lakers in the bubble and Rajon Rondo being out with an injury, Caldwell Pope has seen his minutes go up, and he has been performing at a high level for himself as they enter the playoffs. This has also been quite the turnaround season for him. At the beginning of the season, Lakers Nation was calling for his head, calling him one of the weakest links on the team, and pleading with the Lakers front office to trade him before the deadline. However, Caldwell Pope has silenced the haters and will be very crucial to the team in making a deep playoff run and achieving the goal of winning the championship that they have had their sights set on since the moment that they traded for Anthony Davis. Also out of this, we got one of the more iconic pictures in recent NBA history of Caldwell Pope dribbling the ball outside of the three-point line and the iconic Lakers purple and gold with his ankle monitor out plain as day. Since this incident, Caldwell Pope has kept himself out of trouble and really improved his game since he has joined the Lakers. Delante West. The next and final player that no one knew had an ankle bracelet is Delante West. While not being one of the NBA greats, Delante always found a way to keep himself in the headlines. It was alleged that he had an affair with LeBron James's mother while they were teammates. This rumor began to circulate and has been used to explain James's out-of-character performances against the Boston Celtics in the playoffs that season, as well as one of the main reasons as to why LeBron left the Cleveland Cavaliers for the Miami Heat. Along with this, West has recently been in the headlines again, when he was seen assumingly living outside and becoming homeless after he made millions throughout his NBA career. And this has sparked talks as to the NBA doing more to support their former players after they retire from the league, as well as doing more to take care of the mental health of both their current and their former players as well. West was the 24th overall pick in the 2004 NBA draft to the Boston Celtics. He went on to have a 9-season career in the NBA, playing with the Boston Celtics, Seattle Supersonics, Cleveland Cavaliers, and Dallas Mavericks. In 2009, West had a run-in with the law that gave us an inside look into the destructive lifestyle that West lived while in the NBA. According to an article from NPR, Delante West, a guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers, was driving a 3-wheeled motorcycle north on Interstate 95 near Route 214 in the Largo area when he cut off a Prince George's County police officer, authorities said. The officer pulled him over, and West told the officer that he was carrying a handgun in his waistband. That prompted the officer to call for backup, and investigators found that West was actually carrying 3 guns: a Beretta 9mm in his waistband, a Ruger 357 strapped to his leg, and a shotgun in a guitar case slung over his back, said Major Andy Ellis, a spokesman for the Prince George's County Police Department. Ellis said West, who is 26 and lives in Brandywine, was arrested and charged with speeding and 2 counts of carrying a handgun. In an interview with Slam, he was quoted as saying, "I'm on the Beltway cruising," West says, voice high, emotional, and inimitable. "Soon, I start realizing I'm dozing in and out. I opened my eyes, and I went from this lane to that. I'm swerving, and by the time I wake up, I'm about 3 exits past my exit. There's this truck flying beside me." West pauses. The next part is crucial. "And I'm scared to death. So I seen an officer coming up, and I try to flag him down. I pull up next to him. He slows down, and I get up in front of him. I tell the officer I'm not functioning well, and I'm transporting weapons. The rest of the story is what it is. I'm not proud of it," concludes West, "but it looks way worse than it was." This run-in led to West wearing an ankle bracelet. However, it did not cause him to sit out a full season, and he was able to play a few more years in the league. Final thoughts. In conclusion, while there have been few incidents of NBA players being forced into ankle bracelets, or even wearing an ankle bracelet during an NBA game, there have been a couple through the course of NBA history. one being Kentavious Caldwell Pope, who was pulled over for driving under the influence while in Michigan, and after breaking his parole, was forced to not leave the state of California and had to wear the ankle bracelet even when he played. The other was Delante West, who had more serious charges brought up upon him and did not bounce back quite as well from his off-the-court troubles. Thank you for watching another Up Next Sports video. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, leave a comment if there are other players throughout NBA history who might have been forced to wear an ankle bracelet that we left off this short list. Join us next time for more basketball content similar to this.